Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Toyota Tundra 200 on Speed Channel. Had a few technical difficulties to start off this afternoon of racing in the Nashville, Tennessee area, but we want to get the racing underway, so to get it started, we've got to have that command. Let's go down trackside. Actually, we're going to hold off on that for just a moment. We have had inclement weather in the area, and so some of the fans here have thought to take a little bit of shelter, thinking that possibly rain could be in the area. A lot of fans are here because of Toyota. They've brought almost 6,000 of their associates that work around the country for the Toyota Tundras that are raced in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Currently the temperature 90 degrees and overcast. They have speculated that the possibility exists thunderstorms in the area. You see the clouds, the ominous clouds around the track. Precipitation still has not begun here in Nashville, but it doesn't look that good right now. Dennis Setzer dominating the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as of late. 227 points over second place Ted Musgrave. Bobby Hamilton just 2 points behind Ted Musgrave in third, but his mark of 229 also away from that top spot of Dennis Setzer. The man on the move in the points so far has been David Rudiman. He has been moving up just very consistently as he has had some very good finishes as of late. Also, Ricky Craven moving the wrong way. He's dropped 3 places in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series point standings as of recently. The trucks are all in line. The drivers have been introduced to the fans that are on hand here in Nashville. They're strapped into their trucks, and they are ready to get underway with the Toyota Tundra 200. And so we will now head back down to pit road to Darrell Waltrip, who will give us our command.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our Grand Marshal, Darrell Waltrip, for those great words. Darrell?
All right. I got the best job in racing next to driving one of these Toyota Tundras or one of these trucks out here. How about getting on your feet? Come on, help me out here. Come on. All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines and boogity, boogity, boogity!
Engines are fired up. Darrell Waltrip definitely fired up, getting this crowd fired up as we're about ready to go racing in the Toyota Tundra 200. We'll be back with more racing.
Welcome to Nashville. 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 Nashville, Tennessee. Our players want to sign.
Good stop.
Welcome to Nashville. Nashville, Tennessee. That's right, boy. Come on over here. Sign on this line. We'll make it famous.
Welcome back to Music City, USA, Nashville, Tennessee. The trucks are rolling around the track. We're about to get underway with the Toyota Tundra 200. Here's a look at this concrete mile and a third track.
The largest of 3 concrete racetracks that the Truck Series runs on. You saw 14-degree banking in the corner. Hank Parker Jr., this racetrack is really one that's pretty difficult to race too wide unless you get some rubber down.
Yes, it is. There was an ARCA race here earlier today. Those guys run Hoosier rubber, so there's a lot of Hoosier rubber on the racetrack right now, and that makes it really slick for the Goodyear tires that these guys in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series run on. So you're going to want to be on the bottom of the racetrack at the beginning of this race. We're going to see some 2-wide racing later on, but they need to get some rubber laid down.
Let's take a look at the Domino starting grid. Mike Skinner claims his 4th pole of the 2005 season, his 21st career pole, leaving him in second only behind Jack Sprague, who has 27 career poles.
Great run by Bill Lester, outside pole for him. Brendan Witt continues his hot streak. He had the pole in one a few weeks ago. Second row inside.
Rick Crawford and David Ruderman, two guys both who felt like they had great trucks for tonight. Looking forward to tonight's race.
How about a great run by Deborah Renshaw? Outside row number 4, her best career start in the Craftsman Truck Series. Ted Musgrave, outside row number 6, has never been out of the top 3 in 4 career starts here at Nashville.
Look for him to be up front. Chad Chaffin.
Chad Chaffin lives 3-4 miles from this track, so it is definitely a home track for Chad Chaffin.
Todd Bodine, we see he'll be going to the back of the field. They made some unapproved changes. Felt like they had a problem in qualifying. I think they made a carburetor change.
Another truck that's going to the back is the 62 of Steve Park. Now, Steve Park and Brendan Gaughan, teammates, ran really well yesterday in practice, but didn't qualify as well.
Well, Steve didn't do too bad, but he spun out on his second lap. Brendan got real loose qualifying, which may bode well for later in this race, because most of the drivers and teams think this racetrack is really going to get tighter as all the rubber gets put down. We've already got a lot of rubber on the racetrack, as Hank mentioned a few moments ago, and these trucks will continue to put more and more rubber down. Most of the drivers think that means it's going to get tighter, which means their truck won't turn as well, and that's when the trucks are maybe a little bit loose qualifying may really come in and be good.
We saw the 36 trucks that will be starting this race. There are 2 that did not make the field. Roland Isaacs and Wayne Edwards of the 38 trucks that were attempting will not be starting the Toyota Tundra 200. We'll ride along with 3 different trucks, the first one being Ron Hornaday. Ron Hornaday will start in the Goodwrench Chevrolet in the 20th position, so we'll ride along and see how Ron Hornaday does with traffic in front of him.
David Starr got on board with him. Those guys made some wholesale changes this morning. They wasn't real happy with their truck yesterday, really tight, so hopefully they made the right changes.
Our pole sitter, Mike Skinner, 4th pole of the season, starts first in Bill Davis's Toyota Tundra. Bill Davis, I saw him in the garage area this morning. He's here to watch his 3 trucks run. Teammates with Bill Luster. He's got 2 trucks in the top 2 and 3 trucks in the top 10. Not too bad for Bill Davis.
Well, by winning today's race with the pole position, Mike Skinner could win $4,000 for his team. If Mike doesn't win from the pole today, then another $2,000 is again added to the prize money. Now, it was just won at Memphis by Brandon Witt, who won $18,000. There's $50,000 available for these drivers this year from Craftsman.
His first career win, and what a win, you know. I mean, to take that bonus and everything, that was great.
Drivers trying to warm up the tires before the start of this, and before we get this one underway, let's go down to Wendy Venerini.
The guys in the booth were just talking about Brendan Gaughan and how far back he's starting in the field. He starts 28th today. Well, his truck, that's not a good indicator of how good his truck is. In qualifying, before qualifying, they had problems with their engine, and his crew chief Rambo decided to work on that engine and not worry about the qualifying adjustments on that truck, so they never had the chance to make qualifying adjustments to the 77 truck. He's been awfully fast, and he's usually good here at Nashville with a 5th and a 6th place finish. So watch for Brendan Gaughan to move up through the field fairly quickly. Ray?
Well, Wendy, I think we also have to keep our eye on Dennis Setzer. Now, he starts back in the field in 16th, but Dennis Setzer has a 227-point lead, the biggest we've ever seen with 10 races to go.
Mike Skinner grabs the green flag. We're underway with the Toyota Tundra 200.
I think a lot of these drivers are going to tiptoe a little bit till they get some Goodyear rubber down over that Hoosier rubber. Looks like we have a pretty clean turn 1 and 2 right now. I see some of the trucks on the outside losing some ground. They're just not, they don't want to take any chances, Hank.
The inside is going to be the place to be, especially at the start of this race. Just like we've talked about the Hoosier rubber, this place, it's the inside that seems to always be faster anyway.
Mike Skinner jumping out to an early lead on his fellow Toyota competitors. They started in the top 3 positions today.
Brandon Witt was able to get by Bill Luster to take over the 2nd position. But Mike Skinner opened up about a 7/10 of a second lead that very first lap.
Taking a look at the Power Stroke Diesel by International, number 10 of Terry Cook as he moves on the inside. And problems early on. That's Deborah Renshaw sliding sideways, trying to get a handle on it. She goes into the infield, doesn't make too much contact early on. Let's see if she can hold it down. She does not. All of the drivers woeing up, as they say, able to stay off of the number 8 of Deborah Renshaw. Deborah Renshaw with a great qualifying effort was up front, but just had some problems there.
At the tail end of that, Ricky Craven was turned around over there in turn number 4. I'm sure as he got off the throttle, somebody wasn't quite sure that there was a caution flag out. Somebody ran into him, turned him around, and it looked like Brendan Gaughan may have touched the wall trying to avoid Deborah Renshaw. We'll have to take a look at it.
And you see the damage to the number 8 Dodge there of Deborah Renshaw. That's the...
Looked like the 75 got a little piece of that at the end as well.
There's a good view of it right here. You see Deborah was kind of in the middle of two trucks. You got Johnny Benson, the black 23 on the inside, Matt Craftsman, the 88 on the outside. Matt did all he could do to avoid Deborah. It looked like he might have made a little contact. Now watch as Deborah comes up the racetrack. It looks like Brendan Gaughan coming by, and yes, he did make some pretty good contact with the outside wall.
The blue truck there, I wasn't sure if that was it could have been David Rudiman. It must have been the Spears Manufacturing 75.
Yes, I believe it was, and that's a bad place on the spoiler. I mean, you're really going to rely on that spoiler. We've talked about how slick the racetrack is going to be. She was a little bit up off the bottom because she had a truck on her inside. Pretty slick right there.
Here we see Brendan go by and does make some contact with the outside wall, but what's surprising is it looks as though Brendan stayed on the racetrack while we have some other trucks on pit road. Matt Craftsman's on pit road. Tim Fido on a few of the other trucks. Reiki Craven, the one we mentioned earlier that spun out in the aftermath of this situation. Tim Fido got a little piece of that too as she was backing up the racetrack.
And that's a situation where shouldn't you lock the wheels up right there when you're in the infield and not be able to drift back up on the track?
You really should. That's one of the things that you learn in racing. Once you get down to a safe part of the racetrack, you want to hold on to those brakes and make sure you don't slide back up into traffic. I think if Deborah would have held on to the brakes, she would have never backed up into the racetrack. She wouldn't have had any damage. Brendan Gaughan wouldn't have had any damage, and Tim Fido wouldn't have any damage. But that comes with experience.
That's the first thing they would always tell us when we go to Daytona. Well, the first time I went to Daytona as a rookie, you know, they tell us that if you do get out of shape like that, go ahead and turn the wheel left, hold the brakes, and continue to hold the brakes until you stop.
Let's go down pit road to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, we see that Tim Fido was in here. Now you see that the tailgate has actually come knocked loose off of the left side fender, but it looks to me like it may have knocked the overflow off of their the vent here on the fuel tank. So the problem will be if they go to put fuel into that truck later, it may not come back out the overflow. Now they've put a bunch of big tape patches on there for Fido will go back out to the racetrack, and they did beat on the spoiler to straighten it up. But the big question is, will they be able to fuel this truck if he keeps running?
Let's see if we can take a look, Rick, at how the damage came here. You see there's the contact between the 8, Deborah Renshaw, the 88 of Matt Craftsman. Deborah's going to come down off the racetrack. Terry Cook does a nice job on the 10 truck to avoid her, but as she slides back up the racetrack, watch the very back of the truck, bam! That was a contact right there with Tim Fido, and Brendan Gaughan into outside wall trying to avoid her as she came back up the racetrack.
I thought that was the 75. We did see the 75 squeak by just before that. And, you know, in her defense, she stayed in the gas trying to keep it off the wall initially and just never did get it woed back down.
Steve Park in the Orleans number 62 Dodge coming in.
Remember, we mentioned earlier that he had a pretty decent qualifying effort, was very good in practice, but he spun out in his second lap of qualifying, so he had to put new tires on. NASCAR made him start at the very back of the pack because of those changes, so they felt like they had nothing to lose. Might as well come in here on lap 4, put a little extra fuel in this truck, and get a little bit better fuel mileage run as we go on towards the middle of the race.
Hank, I'm watching as we had a pretty tight shot there of Steve Park, and we see the very dark part of this track just above the yellow line. It's not down on the yellow line. It doesn't look like anybody really can run right on that yellow line.
Well, that's exactly right. We watched the ARCA cars run, and those guys were running a little bit up off the bottom just to try to keep their motors freed up. We may see a little bit more of that in the trucks. We may not. We may see those guys working more to the bottom. See trucks that are handling good get lower and lower through the corners.
What a great restart by Terry Cook, the 10 truck. I hope it wasn't so good that he actually passed somebody. Somebody just got squeezed out of the groove right there. It looked like the 60 of Chad Chaffin. There's Timothy Peters, the 4, leading that back. There's the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet of David Starr, the 75. Here comes Dennis Setzer, Brendan Gaughan. Again, Brendan Gaughan stayed on the racetrack. I thought he made some pretty hard contact with the outside wall. He elected to stay on the racetrack.
Well, weather being an issue, possibly in the area, that may have opted him to stay out and hold the track position that he had.
And Hank, I'm sure that once he hit the wall, he told Rambo, his crew chief Tony Liberati, that, hey, the steering wheel's in the same place. It did knock my toe out. I think I'm okay. And that's probably why they stayed on the racetrack. That, and again, with the fact that weather is threatening in the area, and they want to be in great position if this race only goes to halfway.
Side-by-side battle for third position. David Rudiman and the 22 of Bill Lester side-by-side across the line. Bill Lester getting the nod. Rick Crawford moving up into the third position, and that was a battle for fourth between Rudeman and Lester.
David Rudeman certainly wants to run well here. His owner, as we saw earlier, is here, Darrell Waltrip, so he wants to impress him. Terry Cook is really making a nice run so far. Drive to the inside of Jack Sprague. That was the fastest fastest truck in practice. Both practice sessions yesterday. Jack Sprague was very, very quick. Had a great qualifying.
Oh,
got trouble again.
That's the 02 of Kelly Sutton and the 9 of Shiggy Hattori. Those two trucks looks like they're wedged into the wall right now. Neither of them moving.
Well, they're close enough that they can have a conversation right now. You have driver's window to driver's window.
Yeah, they can talk to each other. But, you know, back on Terry Cook, I talked to his guys in the pits earlier today. They had a great run back at Kentucky. This racetrack, the setups are very similar. They feel pretty good about tonight. Not the same truck that they had, obviously, in Kentucky. They didn't bring that truck back, but they feel really good about their chances here.
Crew Chief Rick Gay said this is the sister to that truck, and I asked him this morning how was his sister acting. He said, well, you know, brother and sister sometimes don't always get along, but he said we're working on it.
So the problems coming on lap 8, the 02 of Kelly Sutton and the 9 of Shiggy Hattori getting into each other, locking up against the outside wall. So our second caution has flown at Nashville Superspeedway, but we are underway and racing. We'll be back with more racing after these messages. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel is presented by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's forward. Toyota, moving forward. Brought to you in part by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR.
Brendan Gaughan, the 77 truck, did make his way to pit road last lap, and he's actually back in. Wendy, what's going on with Brendan?
Well, they assessed the damage the first time around. He went back out as the field was coming around to catch up Tony Liberati did go on the right side of that truck. They were planning on taking a drill and pop rivets and putting that brace behind that right front tire, and it looks like they did get that fixed, and Brendan Gaughan's down and away.
Yeah, the problem is the field has been given one lap to go. The leader pace truck is over in turn number 3 and 4. Brendan's just now leaving pit road. Now he's left the pit road speed limit. He can speed up now and try to catch the field, but he will be at least a half a lap behind when this race restarts.
But Phil, this could be a good thing. Well, maybe not. The green flag is just flying. Brendan Gaughan is just now probably up to full speed, and the field at the back is not at full speed yet.
Well, the good thing is that Brendan Gaughan right now is probably in a pit window where he can go to halfway on fuel, as can Bobby Hamilton and Robert Presley, two of the other trucks that pitted on lap 9. Got a good Rick Crawford taking over the second position. He's going to bring David Rudeman with him.
Rick Crawford moving up to second. Goes by to 38 of Brandon Witt. Brandon Witt dropping back. Brandon Witt was the recipient of a great restart at Memphis and was able to capture the win, and now he looks like he's having a little bit of trouble on this restart.
The 22 of Bill Lester works to the inside. Office Depot on that truck this week. There goes Jack Sprague. He's going to try to follow Bill by. Bring the train of trucks with him, but Rick Crawford is really showing some strength here early.
That outside groove still, I believe it's just too slick to hang on out there, and those guys who are on the bottom are definitely going to pick up the position.
See, Jack Sprague works to the inside of Brandon Witt. He's going to be able to make the pass. He's going to bring Terry Cook with him. There's a 23, another one of Bill Davis's trucks. The 23 of Johnny Benson.
Rick Crawford, the lone man up there, has got a bunch of Toyotas all around him.
Well, and Mike Skinner with a very impressive run, and now a battle for second takes place. Up in front, David Rudeman trying to get by the 14 of Rick Crawford. He will take away the second spot, and so it is Toyota, and then Ford.
But talk about a team that's been on a roll now. That 17 truck of David Rudeman. Ever since DW, the owner, said don't beat yourself back at Dover in the first week in June, that truck has been good each and every week. He got his career best finish of second a few weeks ago, and he's on the move right now into second.
Felt like they had a fast truck yesterday. I asked him if there was any added pressure since ODW was here watching over. So obviously he's got the smoke going right now.
This is obviously a big race for Toyota, and just about every one of the Toyota teams came here to test a week or two ago, and that's really helped them. We saw the top 3 trucks qualifying were Toyotas, and it looks like David Rudeman and Mike Skinner have this thing figured out.
And remember, David Rudeman right now running in second position. In front of him, almost a second and a half, a little over a second and a half, is that 5 of Mike Skinner. And so he has separated himself from the pack right now. But these two drivers were a part of an event that took place before this race where they brought in all of the Toyota associates. A lot of people were there to listen to the drivers. Mike Skinner, Dave Rudeman, 2 of the drivers that felt very confident about the possibility of winning this race today.
It's very good when you can come and test in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series because of the limited amount of tires that you have with the tire rule that they have 4 sets of tires per weekend. When you test, you don't have that rule, so you can run through tires as you test.
And you can see as we follow the trucks around the track in the background, it's becoming very dark. And that is because the storms that we had talked about are moving closer to the track area. There's lightning in the area. As a matter of fact, we've actually asked our pit reporters, Wendy and Ray, to take cover because they're on RF signals and they have antennas that are up in the air. We don't want them to get caught up in any of the electrical storm that possibly is in the area.
Great battle. There's David Starr, the 75 truck. He's up to the middle of the racetrack. That's the Timothy Peters, the Bailey Cigarettes. Number 4. Looks like he tries to squeezed in there. Didn't look like there was enough room, but
he made room.
Yeah, fortunately he made room. It looked like Brandon Witt said, hey, he's coming in here. And let me give him room. Truck. A little bit of give and take right there.
A little bit more take than give, I think.
But see, that's where Brandon Wood, even though he's relatively young, this is his 2nd season, he could have forced the issue and said, hey, he doesn't have me cleared. I'm not going to let him in here. But he backed off, let him in, and it may have saved a couple trucks.
Oh, that's exactly what happened there. And Brandon Whittle, he's got a smart head on his shoulders. He's done this all year and last year. He's a great guy to race against every chance I've had to race against him. But he knows he's not exactly where he wants to be right now, and he can wait till the first pit stop when those guys come in and adjust on that truck and make it better instead of tearing it up.
Side-by-side racing, 2 Toyotas here again. Chad Chaffin on the inside, Brandon Witt on the outside. Brandon Witt moving the wrong direction right now. He has been backing up ever since this last restart.
Boy, Chad Chaffin overdrove that corner a little bit. He had to slide up the racetrack. That allowed the 15 truck of John Andretti to drive by. John had a couple great runs in that 15 truck. He finished in the top 10 the first 2 times out. He had trouble at IRP last week, but he always runs well on that 15 truck, and he was able to move by the 60 of Chad Chaffin up into about the 15th position.
Looks like a lot of these guys who are diving to the inside of someone are getting loose, but just having enough room to catch it, and that's why we've seen that quite a few times, and they're running the outside guy almost to the gray.
And one of the guys running on the outside is Brandon Witt, and a guy who's braving the weather, Ray Dunlap's going to tell us about it.
Well, I'll tell you, Rick, listening to the radio down here, a lot of the Toyotas are complaining about being tight, but especially Brandon Witt in that number 38 Red Horse Racing truck. He is on the outside there trying to get a little different line, but his truck is very tight going into the corner in turn 1 and going into the corner in turn 3. He's really got a lot of steering wheel, trying to do something different on the racetrack to get it to loosen up a little bit. But all the Toyotas all the way back through the field, Mike Skinner, Johnny Benson, the number 22 of Bill Lester, and Brandon Witt, all these guys saying their truck has just gotten extremely tight.
Yeah, that's not a big surprise. Everyone talks about this racetrack getting tighter and tighter and tighter as it takes rubber. And that's really pretty much indicative of all the concrete tracks. We're talking about Bristol, the half mile. We're talking about the mile at Dover. As these racetracks get more and more rubber down the concrete surface, it seems like they get tighter.
Well, they're not as weather sensitive as asphalt tracks are, but we've had a great change in weather here. I mean, it was very hot yesterday. It's been hot all day today. And now all of a sudden you've got cloud cover. It's been very sunny. You've got cloud cover and it's cool. That might add to it. That just may be compounding the problem of getting tight.
Again, Brandon Witt sliding back. That tight issue looks as though hurting him more than anyone. He restarted on lap 12 in 2nd position. He's already dropped back to 17th position.
Yeah, that was a 62 of Steve Park able to get by him. Remember, Steve started at the very back of the pack and actually came in on lap number 4 and topped off with fuel, and he's back up almost to the top 15.
I heard Mark Martin once say that a loose vehicle, in this case, a loose vehicle, you can go as fast as you want to, but a tight vehicle, you can go only as fast as it can go. So, you know, you're stuck when you're tight. You're putting wheel in it, and you're just trying to go as fast as you can, and the harder you go, the tighter it gets.
And when we talk about loose and tight, I think, Phil, you explained it to me one time, like when you're trying to get on an on-ramp to the interstate or something and you're going a little faster than you should go, the front end of that vehicle doesn't want to turn like you want it to turn. That's tight, and that's what these guys are experiencing right now at 150 miles an hour.
That's exactly right, and that's how passenger cars and trucks are designed. So you get that feedback when you drive into an off-ramp or non-ramp or whatever, and you're going too fast, the front end will not turn, and that makes you back off the throttle. These race vehicles, whether it be trucks or cars, we try to get them neutral, so you don't have the front end or the back end sliding. That's an ideal situation, but if you're a little bit loose, that means the back end actually wants to swing out before the front end, and that's a situation that you can get in very big trouble, and that's why experience will tell you on a loose vehicle that you have to back off a little bit.
One guy who's running pretty well up toward the front is the 17 of David Rudiman. Wendy?
We heard Ray talk about all the Toyotas that are tight. Well, the one guy that's the complete opposite is David Rudiman. His truck is actually really free. One of the few guys that I hear on the radio on pit road saying his truck is free. Now, this truck is not the same truck they tested with. They came here to Nashville and test, but they were completely unhappy with that truck that they originally brought here for testing. So they brought back another truck, truck number 9. And this chassis has had 3 top 10 finishes. So it's been a good truck for David Rudiman as he sits in the second place.
He sits in second right now. He has had a very opposite end of the spectrum season so far. The first 7 races, no top 5s. The last 8 races, 4 top 5s. And he's looking to add to that number here in Nashville. 2 Toyotas are up front. Mike Skinner, David Rudiman leading the field around this 1 1/3 Superspeedway in Nashville. Channel Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Denver. Sebastian Bourdais is on a roll, winning 2 races in a row, but Paul Tracy isn't about to let him get too far ahead. So you can count on wheel-to-wheel racing in the Mile High City Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Denver tomorrow live at 3:30 p.m. only on Speed Channel. Ominous clouds in the area, but it is Mike Skinner out in front of this one. He's dominated so far, leading every lap, started on the pole. We've completed 33 laps.
Got a great battle right there. There's the 75 of David Starr. There's the 62 of Steve Park. Remember, Steve started all the way in the back. The 18 of Chase Montgomery was just able to pass this duo and move up into the 15th position, but great side-by-side action. There's the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet of David Starr. Good view of Steve Park, the Orleans Dodge on the inside.
He's got a fast truck, and also we saw him come down pit road and get that splash of gas. We'll have to see what happens with his strategy and how those guys work that later in the race, how the cautions fall.
See, these trucks qualified, and they were not allowed to top these trucks off for fuel, so that's about 3 laps worth of fuel right there. Then they had 3 laps of pace laps, so that's probably another couple laps. So these trucks will actually start the race with 5 laps of fuel less than their capacity. Steve Park came in on lap 4, topped his truck off, so he has actually probably 9 laps on the majority of the trucks in this field.
Now on the inside, Tom Bodine trying to make the pass on David Starr. They're side by side. Bodine in the 30 on the inside. Just outside of him, that Spears Manufacturing 75 lets him go, it looks like.
Yeah, good move there. There's no sense racing side by side. We've got a long way to go. Even if we only go to halfway, we still have a long way to go. We've got 40 laps to go till halfway on this race.
And you mentioned halfway. Now, ideally, NASCAR wants to complete all of the race, but it would be official if they get to 75 laps. And we see side-by-side racing. Todd Cleaver in that Rotella T-Shell, number 50, just making it in front of the one of Ted Musgrave.
And that's no surprise that Todd Cleaver is running well. He has really been so good. He's got 2 second-place finishes in his last handful of races. He had a great truck at Memphis. Some errant pit strategy cost him maybe a shot at a win, even though he got back to the top 10. That team is getting better and better and better. And Mike Bean, crew chief on this truck, told me that he really adapts well to new racetracks, Todd Cleaver. And that really reminds me a lot of Kurt Busch. When he came into the Truck Series, I remember talking to his crew. He said he really adapts well to new racetracks. Todd Cleaver is exactly the same way, and he's doing a great job.
And another name in the same stables, Carl Edwards, is a guy who really did well at new tracks when he first got into it.
I call him the super kid. He can do about anything. Backflips to winning races.
He definitely knows how to drive a vehicle. And here we go. Rick Crawford has his hands full now as Bill Lester is going to get by him, take away the 7th position. And following behind him, 46 of Dennis Setzer. Now we see Setzer moving up toward the front. He will take over the 7th position. 8th position for Dennis Setzer. Setzer really running well as of late in the Craftsman Truck Series. he may not be able to be caught at the end of this series.
Well, if he doesn't have any trouble, it's going to be awfully hard to catch him. But you never know with these truck series races. He's gained about 300 points since in the last 6 races, so he really has made some major moves.
Mike Skinner trying to check out on the field. We'll see if he can do it. Back. Earlier today, Toyota Tundra obviously sponsoring this race, the Toyota Tundra 200. Toyota invited almost 7,000 of its associates that work in the United States plants, not only in Indianapolis, but in Kentucky, California, all around the country. They brought in all 9 drivers, as well as Darrell Waltrip. And I helped host an event that introduced the drivers to these fans. We see the fans now enjoying this race from grandstands that are just outside of turn number 4. And here we have a problem. It looks as though the 46 working its way in a flat right front tire. Ray, what's going on?
That's exactly it, Rick, and this could have been much bigger. Dennis Setzer did a great job of saving that truck. He said all of a sudden it just lost air pressure in that right front. Crew Chief Eric Phillips said, let's just get right sides on this thing. Maybe we get back right off pit road. Make sure we don't lose a lap here. They will make a wedge adjustment on the left side. Fuel going in at right side tires only for Setzer.
The problem is he pitted too early, but he did not want to take a chance of damaging the bodywork on that truck. When those tires go completely flat, it'll rip the fenders and hoods off. Now we've got the rest of the leaders on pit road.
Mike Skinner leading 17 of David Rudeman, the top 2 down pit road, as well as the other ones on the lead lap. Wendy.
17 truck up. David Rudeman is in 4 tires and an adjustment. He has been free on entry. They're doing an air pressure and wedge adjustment. Also the 16 of Jack Sprague is in. He's tight center and off. They're going to make a track bar adjustment on the 16 as well. Ray?
When the adjustments down on my end of pit road are also going to be to try to loosen these trucks up. Everyone's saying tight, including Skinner. Now, Jeff Hensley, the crew chief on this truck, reminded everybody we've got to make sure we do not beat ourselves this week. Skinner has been so close to victory lane so many times this year, and problems have taken it away. They've got the fuel in it. Skinner will head back to the racetrack.
And he wins the battle off pit road. Great job by Bill Davis's number 5 team. David Rudeman, the 17, will follow him off pit road.
Very close there between those 2 Toyotas. Mike Skinner just edging David Rudeman out of pit road, and so it will be Mike Skinner holding on to the top spot. The Toyota Tundra continues for the Nascar Craftsman Truck Series live on Speed Channel. Toyota Tundra associates cheering on their 9 drivers on the track. Toyota Tundra 200 live on Speed Channel. The Nashville Superspeedway. A lot of fans here hoping to see the Toyota Tundra make it to victory lane today. Ray, what's going on?
Well, Rick, I thought that the 46 of Dennis Setzer was going to stay out there and lead a lap that time, but the problem was they had already given the field 1 to go, and they wanted to come down and get the left side tires on there so he'd have a match set. So that's the reason that he did not stay out there, because they're getting ready to go back to green.
He also was going to have to serve a penalty, and we'll have to restart this race from the tail end of the longest line, along with our free pass recipient, the 60 of Chad Chaffin. So Dennis Setzer knew that he was going to have to restart this race at the very back.
And that penalty was because he came down pit road before it was open.
That's right. But it was a great move on Dennis's part. And what a terrific break for him to have a flat tire and have some debris and not have to come lose a lap and pit under green.
Here we go with the restart. Mike Skinner still out in front of David Rudeman, Johnny Benson, Jack Sprague, Ted Musgrave.
How about that 17 truck at second spot, Rick?
Running well again. And again, since Darrell Waltrip made the comment to his team, don't beat yourself, David Rudeman has really stepped up to the plate, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really has. He's been doing a great job. And I'm just so proud of David. I told him, I said, this is the Rudeman I hired right here, and he's just been he's been on it here lately.
Well, Johnny Benson getting on it as well. He's trying to take away the second spot. He does.
Well, you know the difference here now, Rick, and what David was doing earlier in the year, he's letting these things sort itself out. Earlier in the year, he was forcing the issue all the time, trying to put the truck where it didn't really have any business. Now he's kind of taking his time working the traffic.
That was a situation where he really got blocked by the 59 truck, but as you mentioned, he didn't force the issue. He let the 23 of Johnny Benson go by, and now he's going to go back by Johnny Benson. Only took 1 lap.
Well, I said, you know, Phil, you know how it is. I say, look, dude, you got a good truck, you got a good team, and you're a good driver. Let everybody do a little bit. Don't try to do it all yourself.
patience is a virtue, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to preach to drivers. You guys know that.
We don't ever listen anyway.
No.
You're preaching to the choir here.
I know. I just looked around and said, I got 2 drivers standing here listening to me now. And they're shaking their head, no. What's up with that?
Way wide down the backstretch.
Comes the 50 of Todd Cleaver. Jimmy Spencer, the 2 in the middle.
That usually doesn't work too good.
There's a 75 of David Starr right there.
They're stacked up 3 wide. We've already seen this earlier today. They didn't work out, but they made it work through 3 and 4.
Well, you see who's in the middle of all that, don't you? Mr. Excitement, and he's fixing to make it that way, too.
We were talking just before you came up to the booth of how that 50 truck has really turned this season around. Young driver, doing a great job, Todd Cleaver.
You don't reckon he sees opportunity down the road, do you? Maybe he thinks that if I start performing a little bit better in this truck, there might be some in my future.
Yeah, they've had a little news here recently within Roush Racing.
Oh, they've had a lot of news, yeah. Big surprises. You know, I mean, they're going to have some drivers over there, it looks like.
Todd Cleaver could be one of those moving ahead of Ted Musgrave as they make their way through 1 and 2.
Remember, he was the recipient of this ride because he won the Gong Show, the competition that Roush had last fall to determine who was going to get a ride in this Craftsman Truck Series. They're doing that again right now. They're right in the middle of it. They're actually going to finish that up this next week at Darlington, but they obviously found a gem in Todd Cleaver, just as they had earlier with Greg Biffle and Kurt Busch and people like that.
Yeah, and Carl Edwards. I mean, you know, I think that Roush proves that you got to have a really strong development program. You've always got to be giving guys that look like they may have a little talent. You got to give them an opportunity.
Which is, you've got a doubly talented guy, as I mentioned earlier, with Carl Edwards, a guy that can win races and do backflips. I mean,
a gymnast.
That's great.
You know, Hank and I were talking earlier, actually coming out here this morning, and you know, when we started driving, you started driving, Hank and I, there was no driver development programs. There was no Gong Show. You just had to be very fortunate, be in the right place at the right time, and have somebody see.
Problem right there.
Gosh. Yeah,
that's the Bailey's 4. Timothy Peters gets into the wall. We saw contact just before Peters got into the wall, so he was helped into the wall, and some heavy damage to the front of that number 4.
Yeah, that would have been a good place for some give and take right there, and that was totally avoidable. That should never happen.
That was a good way down off of turn 4 in the dog leg on the straightaway.
There you see the damage to the 59 Robert Presley.
You know how you figure this out? He's got left front damage and he's got right rear damage. So what does that tell you?
There's a good chance that they were involved together.
I think they made some contact.
One of them didn't give up the space that they had.
We saw a situation earlier in this race where Brandon Witt had a truck try to squeeze him out. Brandon backed off, good heads up move, and no problem. Take a look at it. You see the 59 got into the right rear corner of the floor, just as you mentioned, Darrell, and it turned him right into the outside wall.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure that you know, Robert Presley's in that 59 truck, and he's an experienced driver, and that's a young man in the 4. I'm sure he would have probably thought maybe he thought he was going to do something that he didn't do.
It almost looked as though Timothy was possibly moving up too on the racetrack, so maybe all the blame can't be thrown on Robert Presley's shoulders.
I think you're probably right. You know, anytime you can take a couple of looks at these things, there's enough blame to go around for everybody.
Well, I'm sure there's 2 guys that'll have 2 different views.
Well, you know what I always say. Let's see what we see here now.
It's going to be a good view of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such slight contact.
Yeah.
It takes so very little to get one of these trucks out of shape. It was so slight. You see Timothy Peters, he's wondering, why on earth did the 59 get into me? And it was just so close there. Timothy Peters was up near the outside wall, but he probably could have been up 6 inches higher, and that would have never happened.
You don't reckon, if he starts winding up here, what do y'all think?
He looks like he's ready to ask the 59 driver, Robert Presley, how this did happen. He doesn't want to get into the back of the ambulance right now and go to the infield care center.
See how much he thinks of that helmet. That's what I was thinking. Looks like he's a left-hander.
Oh.
Yeah.
Use your head, I think, is the...
That's the message.
At least he didn't throw the helmet.
No, I thought better of that.
You know, Robert Presley used to drive for Bobby Hamilton, so there's no doubt in my mind there was nothing intentional by that. It was just one of those racing deals, as they say, and unfortunately it didn't work out well for Timothy Peters.
Could have been avoided.
We saw Ted Musgrave fall from 5th all the way back to 12th in a very short amount of time. He was getting super loose on the track, and the caution came out. Good timing for Ted Musgrave. Gene Need, the crew chief, brought him in and put a rubber in the left rear of that truck, so hopefully that will help. Ted Musgrave, he said, I was about to wreck.
Well, you know what I always say. Let's see what we see here now. It's going to be a good view of it.
Ted Musgrave, he said, I was about to wreck.
I was about to wreck.
Ted Musgrave making his way back out onto the track after having his work done on his. We're riding along with Ron Hornaday just in front of him. This is what he saw as our fourth caution is flown in Nashville. Welcome back to Lebanon, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville at the Nashville Superspeedway for the Toyota Tundra 200.
Now, Rick, this is Lebanon.
Yeah, see, I knew the second I said that, I was going to have
ain't no Lebanon.
I was going to have a local tell me Lebanon.
You ain't from around here, are you, son?
Yeah, you know all too well. Mike Skinner out in front. He's led 57 laps, actually 56 laps. Brad Keselowski was out there for one lap when Skinner came in for service. So we've had two drivers lead this race so far. Again, 75 may be the magic number as the weather continues to close in around this track. The temperature has dropped. They've claimed that there's rain in the area, but we're about to restart.
As long as these trucks will keep going, the vortex theory will kick in, we won't have any rain. Just trust me on that one, Rick.
Well, I was waiting for Boogity.
Oh, what am I thinking?
The vortex had him spun out.
Yeah. You didn't tell him to tighten his belts and all.
I didn't get all the message there.
There is a pattern. And we're seeing a pattern right now as
a Toyota pattern.
Johnny Benson gets by the 16 of Jack Sprague, and so that puts 3 Toyotas in front of this pack.
Johnny's had 2 great restarts. We saw him do that the last time by. Saw him do it again.
I'm kind of more excited about the lead right now. I'm excited about it.
I thought you might be looking at that NTN Bearings number 17 as he puts his front bumper right almost up to the back bumper of the 5 of Mike Skinner.
Yeah, I'd be running down and saying, hey, dude, let me lead a lap. I need 5 points today. And he got himself up to 6 in the points, and he's not out of the championship hunt by any means.
You know, once David Ruderman got into the second position before the cautions started coming in bunches, he was running very similar lap times to what Mike Skinner was, but they were separated by a couple seconds. Now, obviously, he's right on his rear bumper, and they're running very, very similar lap times. David Ruderman was actually quicker the last time by. This time, Mike Skinner was about 4/100ths of a second quicker.
Here's the guy. I'm worried about Jack Sprague. I'm not worried about it. Jack Sprague is running great. He tested well over here last week when we were over here. He's got a fast truck. He just needs a little bit of luck. I mean, his luck hasn't been very good.
He was the fastest in both practice sessions that we had yesterday. He definitely has a fast truck. You can see Ruderman right there. He's running lower on the track than anybody else. He's got a great handling truck.
Look at that thing. It kills me how they get these things sucked down to the ground the way they do.
Side-by-side racing back in the pack.
There's a 12-year other truck. Mike Wallace is driving it this week, a second time in the truck.
Yeah, we had to make a change there. We took Robert Huffman out there and put Mike in. We needed some experience. We needed some help with that team, and hopefully Mike will give it to us.
Ron Hornaday, the 6 truck, works to the inside of the 38 of Brendan Witt, not able to make the move that time. See Brendan Gaughan move up. He was involved in that first accident coming off turn number 4. He made some contact with the wall. They came in late on the next caution flag. Ended up restarting a half a lap behind, but fortunately got the caution flag when Dennis Setzer had the flat tire and was able to catch up with the field, and now he's currently in the top 20.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought that 77 had a little more damage in that, but looks like they got it repaired pretty well.
These 2 trucks separating themselves from the field. Skinner trying to hold off that NTN Bearings of David Ruderman.
Well, he is able to stay right next to the yellow line. As these trucks tighten up, as this run wears on, as they burn the fuel out, he's going to like that handle on that truck.
Where I really see him being strong, David Ruderman in the 17, is off of turn 2 over there. He can really run the bottom. Right here, he cuts it down, and not many guys can do that right there. That's where he's been tough.
That's going to bring him up beside the 5 of Mike Skinner.
Now, Mike needs not to race him here. Let him go. Let him get his 5 points and then work it out.
Now, David Ruderman in clean air is going to run out in front. He will lead this lap, and this will definitely affect the handling of the truck. He's running with nobody in front of him breaking the wind for him.
Yeah, I think he's going to like it out there with nothing in his windshield.
Definitely be freer. He won't have to fight being so tight up behind Skinner there, but he can run the bottom of the racetrack like Darrell said he's doing. Running the bottom both corners, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
But Darrell, don't break into any rain dance or anything. 10 laps with to the halfway point. I don't want you trying to call for rain.
No, I wouldn't dare do that.
He's already said the vortex.
Yeah, he talked about the vortex theory of the trucks going around fast enough to keep the moisture out of the area. But your truck out in front, you got to be very proud of that young man.
Yeah, David's just a quality guy. He and his wife and little girl, they're just great people. Always makes me feel good when he does well.
Great battle right there. That's battle for the 6th position, the 22 of Bill Lester, the 10 of Terry Cook.
Well, I tell you, Bill Lester's hanging in there pretty strong today too, guys.
Let's drop back through the field, starting with David Rudiman. We'll go down to Wendy Venerini.
David Rudiman is out in front right now. He's been loose from the center off, but the more they run. But just as Darrell said, he has been good off at 2, and the 17 team knows it, Ray.
Save the right front tire. That's what they continue to preach to Mike Skinner. He's driving chassis number 59. He's had a couple of 4th place finishes with this truck, but the big problem is getting to the finish and not wearing that right front tire out. Now for the 23 of Johnny Benson, he's been sliding the front tire, so they made an air pressure adjustment for Benson to try to make that thing better right in the center of the corner. How about Sprague, Wendy?
Jack Sprague just passed Johnny Benson for position. They have been tight all race long. They put a half a rubber in the right rear, went up on the air pressure to loosen up Jack's truck. Next we have Todd Cleaver in the 50. He's also been tight, just like everybody else in the race. They loosened up that truck with a round of track bar, 1 round up, and he's been really good off at 3 and 4, it sounds like, Ray?
Wendy, for Bill Lester, he's been saying that the rear end gear has been making a clunking noise on his Office Depot Toyota today. He said he's worried about getting to the finish of this race because it sounds like maybe they have a problem in the drivetrain. Wendy?
Terry Cook in the 10 has been tight across the center. They made a major air pressure adjustment on that truck. And Terry Cook always is a good man for words. He came over the radio and he's like, you know what, Nashville's just really bumpy and slick. I don't really like this place, Ray.
It's been a while since we see the next truck, number 30 of Todd Bodine, running up front here lately. The Todd Bodine had a lot of problems with his truck today. They had to take a wiring harness out and made major changes, so that made Bodine drop to the rear of the field before the beginning of today's race. Now for Rick Crawford, they pulled tape off on his last pit stop, and Crawford has been 36 races since his last victory at Martinsville. Crawford felt like today was one of his best trucks he's had so far this season. He feels like by the end of the day today, they'll get that circle bar Ford to the front. Wendy?
Bobby Hamilton has just moved into the 10th place spot. He was 3rd in points coming into the race, and on lap 9 there was a little bit of scare on the 04 truck. They thought they had a flat tire, so they wanted to be safe. They came in, changed that tire on the on lap 9, the air pressure was okay, but then when the caution came out on lap 44, Bobby Hamilton and crew decided to pit with the leaders because they didn't want to be a sitting duck.
When we talked earlier about now we were looking at the 15 of John Andretti, just able to get in front of Bobby Hamilton, but the 46 had problems earlier with the right front tire going flat, and he brought out the 3rd caution of the day, and so he's had troubles, but currently in 13th position. And the Toyota Tundra of Bill Lester spinning across the infield. That's that Office Depot number 22 of Bill Lester. We just talked about how well he was running.
Well, and he said there's something maybe wrong with the gear in the car, and I don't see any damage. He didn't hit anything, but maybe he's tearing up a rear end gear, a ratchet or something, Phil.
Or if he loses a ratchet, that would loosen a truck up in a heartbeat.
Caution number 5 coming out as Bill Lester gets that truck back out onto the track.
The ratchet, by the way, is inside the rear end gear, and it's what equalizes the pulling on the rear tires, the right rear or the left rear. It locks them up.
See if we can take a look. He's on the inside of Terry Cook, and how many times do we see that the truck on the inside loses air off the rear spoiler? That's what's happened to Bill. Did a great job keeping that truck out of the outside wall, and he gets it woed before he gets into the inside wall. So he put 4 tires on. He should be good to go.
Yeah, that big old roof flap popped open, and the thing spun right around. He caught a gear, and here he comes.
So important to nose on these things, the height. You know, you don't want them too high because these trucks are so aero sensitive. I mean, they seem to be more aero sensitive than the cars, so hopefully they didn't get any damage to the nose, and if they did, they can fix it.
Out in front of the field, it's David Rudiman in the NTN Bearings number 17, looking for win number 1, possibly coming at Nashville Superspeedway. Earlier this week, some of the Toyota Tundra drivers were able to visit the Tennessee Titans training camp. Guys like Brandon Witt, Johnny Benson, Chad Chaffin all making it into the domed area to play a little catch along with the Tennessee Titans. Brad Hopkins, the honorary starter for this race, was there to show them around, show them what the football fans were all about. And here's the fans for racing, enjoying the Toyota Tundra 200 and definitely enjoying the fact that David Rudiman and Mike Skinner are out in front of this field right now. 2 Toyota Tundras.
Yeah, there's 7,000 employees down there from all those red shirts are all Toyota employees down in turn 4 there. And it's a great, they're having a great time. They're all from the plants and the factories around here nearby.
Ray, what's happening with Dennis Setzer?
Well, Rick, I want to tell you a little story. Early this morning, Rob Morgan, who used to be a part owner in this 46 truck team, called the guys and said, hey, he's out in California. He said, I went to a party last night, and we went there, and there was a palm reader. The palm reader started talking about what is a big problem in Tennessee. Now, excuse me just a second. I'll get these guys. Here, get out of my shop, will you? You're in my shop. Will you move? Take a look at this tire right back here. If you see this tire, this is the one that came off of Dennis Setzer's truck. Now, what did Rob Morgan say? He said the palm reader said, if you're going to be in Tennessee, you're going to have a problem with a tire. And these guys said, you got to be kidding me. We're not going to listen to a palm reader. But maybe she was right. The tire went bad, but Setzer somehow saved it.
I really think he said he's going to have a problem with the tire reporter.
Check out the last 6 races for Dennis Setzer. I mean, this guy's been absolutely unbelievable. 4 wins in the last 6 races.
In the last 7 races, he was 7 races ago. He was 87 points behind. Now he's 227 points ahead, a gain of 314 points in the last 6 or 7 races. Unbelievable.
Probably won't be talking to any more palm readers if they can help it.
Ray will take care of it for him.
Well, Phil, you talked about that amazing points gain on the rest of the field. A guy who has done that very similarly in NASCAR has been Tony Stewart as of late.
That's right. He's the only one that's made a bigger gain than what Dennis Setzer has in that same time period. He was 311 points behind point leader Jimmy Johnson, and now he's 75 points ahead. That's 386 point gain.
Streaks taking place for Dennis Setzer and Tony Stewart, but the hottest guy on the track right now is the 17 of David Rudiman.
You know, every restart I hold my breath, because so many times this year, not just our truck but others they've had transmission issues, shifting issues. I know they're running the road course tomorrow. I'm sure there's some nervous crew chiefs up there too.
We had a number of trucks that decided to pit on this caution flag. Most of the lead trucks stayed out there, but people like Bobby Hamilton, there's a great battle for the lead. Mike Skinner's going back for the lead.
Skinner took it away. David Rudiman.
Terry Cook was down on the apron.
Yeah, he got a great restart. I was going to say he got a great restart on Johnny there. Johnny's had the best restart so far, but
15 trucks off the pace here going down into turn 1. I don't know what his issues are. John Andretti in the 15. It looked like he may have a tire down.
Problems on John Andretti. Wendy, what's going on?
That's exactly what it is. It is right rear flat going on the 15. Oh, Terry Cook's in the wall.
Terry Cook hits the wall. The Power Stroke diesel by International number 10 coming out of turn number 4. That will bring out
we got more
the
trouble back here.
Caution of the day. We've got spinners going across the infield. That's the 07 driven by Rich Bickle, who's made his way into the infield.
We were just talking about Terry Cook having a great start, being on the apron the lap before it, or the corner before it.
I'm not so sure. He came on the apron 3 wide here. Maybe he run over something, because I think he may have cut a tire down or some issue over there in turn 3.
Just a horrible break, though, for Terry Cook. Had such a good truck here. This was, again, we mentioned the sister truck to the truck that he's run so well with since Charlotte, when he had that great second-place run at Charlotte. He lost that truck, unfortunately, when he was inside of 5 laps to go to win a race, and lost that truck. And this is the sister truck, but hopefully he can get this truck fixed and get back out, maybe get some more points.
A lot of damage. We'll take a look at how this happened.
Oh, he goes in on the inside there, runs it down in hard. Outside of Cleaver, on the inside of Cleaver, and it just sucks him around.
Very similar to what happened to Bill Lester. He was on the inside, got a little loose, and needed to use some racetrack to catch that truck. Unfortunately, the 50 of Todd Cleaver was there. Terry could gather up the truck, and the thing ended up overcorrecting and put him in the outside wall.
That's what happens, Phil. You go in so hard, then you got to stay off the guy on the outside, and you're cutting a wheel, giving a wheel, and the back end snaps out.
That's right. It takes all the air from you, and then you need all that track to save the truck and run out of room.
Here's our defending champion of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in to get work done on that 04. Looks like pulling some body away from the right front. Wendy.
Bobby Hamilton's back down pit road. He just came in on the last caution, dropped the track bar, and put the first set of tires back on. They were trying to save their stickers till the end, but you see the crew going to work as they change that right front tire. We'll see what else is going on with Bobby Hamilton's truck.
Looks like he had a tire.
The tire's torn up. I mean, the whole outside edge of it is gone. You can see it there as they roll it back to the wall there.
We saw them working on the front of that truck. They were probably beating the fender out a little bit because it looked like that tire may have been rubbing something, which has caused the damage to that piece.
I hope that's what it is. Of course, we saw that on Setzer's truck as well, so I hope we're not developing a problem here.
Bobby Hamilton making his way back out onto the track. One guy who struggled now after getting into the wall is Terry Cook. On the hood of that was the Big John and Ramblin' Ray. They are hosts for the morning show, the largest country music station in the United States. Those two guys have Terry Cook coming out on Fridays as the guest host talking NASCAR. They'll take that hood and try to make money for charity. And welcome back to the Toyota Tundra 200 live on Speed Channel. The fans getting on their feet for this restart. Out in front of the field, it's Mike Skinner again in front of David Rudeman, Jack Sprague, Johnny Benson, and Todd Cleaver.
Good restart by Mike Skinner. Opens up a couple truck wings on the 17 of David Rudeman.
Yeah, David's truck looks a little slow in the restart. Seems like it takes him a lap or two to get going. You see Sprague there all over the back of him.
Looks like he's pretty free right there at the start. It takes him just a little bit to get tightened up to be able to stand the gas up off the corner.
Yeah, I think you're right, Haynes. Something just slows him down there on the restarts for a lap or two.
See, the 23 of Johnny Benson moves right up on the tailgate of the 16 of Jack Sprague. Johnny's had a great truck this entire race, as has Jack Sprague.
Well, I've been surprised. I thought Johnny Benson would win a lot of races this year, and be a contender for the championship. But he has had some rotten luck.
I had him picked at the beginning of the year to be in the top 5 in points, and we talked about it a few weeks ago. He was so good last year in about half the season, but they've had so much bad luck. They've changed crew chiefs recently. Rick Wren, who's a longtime crew chief in this series, is over there, and they've got a great truck today. Maybe they can turn it around.
Yeah, Rick Wren is a good crew chief, and that'll help a lot, I'm sure.
A whole gaggle of cars right there. Trucks.
We got a big wad right there.
I don't know. In Cup, that would be a wad. Now, I guess it could be a gaggle in trucks.
That's a gaggle. It's kind of like,
whoa, and there goes one up the hill, too.
Sometimes it's a scrum a little bit.
Hornaday's got a problem.
Looks like he might have just got forced out of the groove up into the loose stuff. See him, and she's John Andretti back on the racetrack. There's a 04 Bobby Hamilton who made a pit stop on this most recent caution flight. You hear Ron get back on the throttle. He's not losing much ground to Bobby Hamilton. It looked like he might have just been forced up out of the groove into the loose marbles and things like that.
Well, we had an ARCA race here earlier, and there's a lot of debris up high out of the groove. And here's Rudeman looking for the lead again, and I think he might get it.
Side by side, Rudeman on the inside, Skinner on the outside, and Rudeman's going to take the spot away again.
So, yeah, Mike Skinner's that's a smart way to race. You see how Mike backed off, let David get in. That way you don't race in there side by side and take a chance on wrecking each other.
He is so good, as you mentioned, off turn number 2, and there he was. He made that move again. That's where he made that pass. It looked like he made it to the end of the straightaway, but he really created that pass off turn number 2.
Yeah, you watch him come off turn 2 over there, and you just see a gap open up between he and the car behind, truck behind him.
3 different drivers have been on point. Mike Skinner's led 71 laps. David Rudeman adding to his lap lead number. He's led 14 so far. Brad Keselowski has led 1. And so Rudeman leads the field around the mile and third Nashville Superspeedway.
Today's tool is Craftsman's new orbital sander, and there's a couple of neat features to this thing. You know, I work in a wood shop a lot, and this little port right here allows me to hook a vacuum right onto the sander. So when I'm doing my work in the shop, all the dust goes right to my vacuum. But here's what I really like about it. See this little lever right here? This is a variable speed. Now I can turn this thing on, and with this regulator, crank it up really fast or bring it back down to really slow, depending on whatever kind of project you're working on. Now, the race teams use a sander here in the garage all the time because they've got to go and work on the truck. Now, NASCAR says, hey, this is a little bit too bumpy. You turn up the volume, and away they go doing their sanding. Now, it's not just made for working on cars or working in your wood shop. You can get rid of the sandpaper, and then you can add a buffing pad. And when you've got a buffing pad, it's great for cleaning onions.
Todd Bodine, or Onion as he is called, is moved up into the 5th spot, just ahead of Johnny Benson now. So breaking into the top 5 for Onion.
Looks like they made the right call. I mean, they went to the rear because they felt like their truck wasn't right with the wiring and the carburetor and the changes that they made. Looks like they made the right call.
He has so much confidence in his crew chief. Mike Hillman Jr. and Sr. both are involved with that team, and they do such a great job of setting the thing up. And Todd's always, may not qualify very well, but you can believe one thing: when the race gets going, he's coming to the front.
Battle for second heating up. Jack Sprague, the 16 truck, looking for a way around the 5 of Mike Skinner. Ruderman has opened up about a second-half lead right there. He really likes the clean air. Mike Skinner now is in a little bit different situation, that he's got a little bit of dirty air, and it looks like Jack Sprague, the 16 truck, is able to stay with him. He can stay a little bit lower off turn number 2. That looks like to be Mike Skinner's Achilles heel is off turn 2.
Yeah, it looks like it might be a little tight and gets a little nose push off of 2 over there, and it really hurts his speed. That's where people are closing up on him big time.
Looks like Ruderman does better when he doesn't have someone tucked up underneath him getting him loose. Talked about how he's been free all day. There's another truck underneath him. It looks like he gets loose when he's by himself. He's got what he wants.
It's so hard to do, you know, Phil and Hank. It's hard to get these things where they qualify good and race good. The impound rule, I mean, you got to really struggle with qualifying to have a good truck in the race.
We talked about Brendan Gaughan. He had a great truck in practice. He ended up qualifying about 25th or 28th. He has worked his way back. Even after that early trouble making contact with the outside wall, he's worked his way back into the top 10. He's currently being shown 7th right now. So he did have a good truck. He just couldn't qualify with it. He was too loose.
This is the battle for second. Mike Skinner trying to hold off Jack Sprague. DW talked about how well Jack Sprague did in testing, and obviously he ran very well here in practice earlier. But out in front is David Ruderman trying to check out on the field, just over 2 seconds ahead of second. Ray?
Hey, Rick, I need to tell you just a little bit more about my palm reader story. Rob Morgan said at this party there was also a lady doing tarot cards, so he wanted to find out about that. So he went over to the table and she flipped over a couple of tarot cards, and on the third one there was a picture of Darrell Waltrip with his thumb out. And he said, "What is that all about?" And she said, "Well, he's hitchhiking." "Well, what does that mean?" I said, "Well, that probably means it's time for him to go." So, Darrell, thanks for joining us, but right now you got to hitchhike your way back down here and get ready in case David Ruderman might win this race. You might have to go to Victory Lane.
Are you speechless?
You know, Ray just continues to amaze me with his wealth of knowledge. I mean, and he's turned to cards, palm readers, you know, soothsayers. I tell you,
he sent you away one time before when you joined us.
Oh, I know, but I deserved it that time. I got it pretty good that time.
Darrell, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck as your truck is leading the field around this mile and a third Nashville Superspeedway. Very close to your home, so I'm sure this would be very good to get your first win with David Ruderman in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
The party will be down in Victory Circle if we win one.
Well, thank you again, Darrell Waltrip. The Toyota Tundra fans are here watching to see if David Ruderman can claim his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in the Toyota Tundra 200. Let's take a closer look at the Premier Division of NASCAR and our Nextel Cup update. Top 10 in the point standings, guaranteed a spot in the chase for the championship. Carl Edwards has made his way back into the top 10.
Big change. Jimmy Johnson led this points for a long time, along with Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart, by virtue of the fact that he's been so hot here for the last couple months. Moved into the point lead with a 75-point edge right now on Jimmy Johnson.
Tomorrow on Speed Channel, get fired up for racing with NASCAR this morning. See how the field stacks up, what final adjustments are left to be made, and how the chase for the championship is shaking out. NASCAR this morning, tomorrow at 11 a.m. live and only on Speed Channel. David Ruderman holding on to the top spot in Nashville. We'll see if he can stay up front and claim his first win. Tunnel with Dave Despain. Dave welcomes 2004 Speed World Challenge GT champion Tommy Archer to the tunnel. Winning the title with only one victory in 2004. Archer is within 2 points of the championship lead going into the race in Denver this weekend. Don't miss Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain and featured guest Tommy Archer. Live tomorrow night, 9 p.m. only on the Speed Channel. David Ruderman out in front of the field. his gap is slowly getting taken away by the 30 of Todd Bodine.
Yeah, Todd Bodine able to take over the second spot from Mike Skinner. But we've got a situation here that a number of these trucks up front, including the 17 of Ruderman, the 30 Bodine, will have to pit here very, very soon. You see the 1 of Ted Musgrave, the 62 of Steve Park. They're currently being shown in 8th and 9th. They pitted 30 laps after David Ruderman and Mike Skinner, Jack Sprague, Johnny Benson, people like that. So they're going to be able to stay out. We got trouble.
Here comes David Ruderman for that pit stop, I believe, that you were talking about. So our leader is coming down pit road. Wendy?
Well, that came a little bit as a surprise for the 17 team. A right front tire is going down. I see it wobbling from underneath the truck as he comes to a stop. They were getting close to pit at lap 115 anyways, but a change of plans. That tire is completely flat as they pull it out the right front. They only decided to do right side tires on this stop.
He's going to be joined very, very soon on pit road. We've got trouble. Got a car into the wall. Truck. Off turn number 4. Truck, I'm sorry.
Truck into the wall in caution 4. So the caution comes out. That is the 29 of Brad Keselowski.
It looked to me like that the 17 of David Ruderman got to the start-finish line on pit road before the leader, Todd Bodine, got to the start-finish line. He may be able to stay on the lead lap. Ray?
Phil, it was 1 lap away before Mike Skinner was coming to pit road. They have had so many races where things got away from them. Today, they may have finally gotten the big break. They were just about to head pit road, and then that caution came out. Everybody jumped up and down here and said, finally, we get a break.
And Ray, in fact, we're getting confirmation from NASCAR that the 17 of David Ruderman did get to the start-finish line, which runs all the way across from the outside wall to the inside pit wall before the leader, Todd Bodine, got there. So he will stay on the lead lap. What a terrific break for David Ruderman.
That was a great break for him. He could have crashed the truck. You know, it happened right there at the entrance of pit road. He was able to get on quickly, get the tires changed, and get across the line before the leader, Todd Bodine.
Let's take a look how close it was. Oh, actually, first of all, we're going to go down pit road. Todd Bodine and Jack Sprague making their way down pit road. Wendy.
Jack Sprague will be our first truck on this end of pit road. His truck has been tight, so they are making an air pressure adjustment on the 16 4 tires. And it looks like a pretty good stop so far on the right-hand side. We'll check in with Ray further down pit road.
Mike Skinner is down on my end, also the number 30 of Todd Bodine. Todd Bodine said his truck just a little bit tight going into the corner and very tight in the center. Skinner not going to have too much of a problem here. They make a wedge adjustment on the left side. It will be 4 tires here. Again, Skinner feeling like they got the lucky break. He will head out of pit road. It looks like the 2 truck of Jimmy Spencer will beat him off of pit road.
What a great call by Jason Overstreet, Bobby Kennedy, and everyone with the 17 truck to only take 2 tires. Hank, if they would have stayed on pit road and took 4 tires, he would not have beaten the leader, Todd Bodine, to the start-finish line. He would be 1 lap down right now. The only problem is he only has right-side tires, fresh tires, where all these other trucks probably have 4 fresh tires. He's got track position. If he wants to stay out, he will probably restart this race very close to the lead. So he's going to have to decide whether he wants to come in, put his left side tires on, or whether he wants to stay out, keep the track position, and maybe even lead this race again. See David Ruderman, see him chase the truck uphill when his right front tire went down, as Wendy reported. Look what a close situation it was. Brandon Witt, the 29 of Brad Keselowski, doing a great job avoiding him. He had no control over that truck. He was doing all he could do to try to save that truck. Now we see probably a right front tire go down on the 29 of Brad Keselowski, which brought out the caution flag. A tremendous break for David Ruderman. Really, 2 breaks for David Ruderman. Number 1, the caution, not hitting the wall, and number 2, the caution coming out when he did, and he's able to stay on the lead lap.
Hey, that was heads up for both David and his team. They really were quick on that, so good call by them.
So pit strategy working out for David Ruderman for the Toyota Tundra 200. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel is brought to you by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR, and by Domino's Pizza. Get the door. It's Domino's, the official pizza of NASCAR.
Jimmy Spencer, the 2 truck, was penalized for speeding on pit road. He has to give up a top 5 position. He came down pit road, did fuel only. He beat all the other trucks that pitted out onto the racetrack, but unfortunately got busted for speeding on pit road, and he will have to relinquish a top 5 spot. He will restart this race in 23rd spot.
He knows he can make it to the end of this race. Why would he not put tires on?
He was trying to get track position. That's why he was doing it, and unfortunately it didn't work for him. We've got a few trucks, as we've seen Bill Lester, who is now our leader, restart this race. We've got 2 or 3 trucks right here. The 22 and the 88, I think, are going to try to make this race from pitting back on lap number 73, 74, 75, somewhere in that area. So we're going to have some fuel mileage strategy here, and we'll see if they can make it 100 miles on fuel.
I don't think their tires are going to let them prevail, though. I really feel like the tires are just going to be too beneficial here.
Well, David Rudeman would be the first one to take away that spot from them if he's able to get up there, but he only has right side tires.
And here comes Mike Skinner. We know he got 4 tires, and he's taken over the 2nd spot from David Rudeman.
Again, Phil, as you had mentioned, Bill Lester restarted this one out in front. He's going to try to hold off Mike Skinner, but Skinner has a dominant truck. He has already led 71 laps of this race today. 3 wide racing.
Tires are a good thing. I waited till I saw him passing someone before I made that real risky call, but you know, always hear the tires are going to be better.
I was holding my breath while we saw that 3 wide action right there. Tom Bodine had such a good truck. When David Rudeman had his flat tire, he took over the lead. He right now moved up into the 4th position. David Rudeman will be next on his hit parade. See the 77 of Brendan Gaughan move by the 88 of Matt Crafton. Remember, Matt, I think, is one of the trucks that did not pit on this most recent caution flag. He's trying to make it a long way on fuel. Brendan Gaughan did come on pit road. We see Ted Musgrave look to the inside of the lap truck of Chad Chapin.
It's going to be wide again.
Another 3 wide.
Chad Chapin, Matt Crafton, 3 wide going through the tribal and heading into turn 1.
Who's going to give? Looks like nobody.
Made it stick.
Matt Crafton got the worst of that situation. He was very, very high in the racetrack. Fortunately, there was enough rubber down there from the ARCA race earlier and what we've run thus far with the trucks that he was able to maintain control, but he is dropping some positions. Look at Jack Sprague get extremely sideways with a 16 truck as he tries to work by the inside of Matt Crafton.
When these trucks are all bunched up together like this, we've talked about how important momentum is. Well, when they're all bunched up and you get a run on someone, you've got to take advantage of it, whether you're 3 wide or on the apron or whatever you've got to do.
Here goes Mike Skinner trying to take away the top spot from Bill Lester, side by side as they go into the turn.
He does take it up fairly easily. Remember, Bill Lester has a lot more laps on his tires than does Mike Skinner. David Rudeman has fresh right side tires. He's got a lot more laps on his left side tires than does Mike Skinner. But once Mike Skinner was able to get by David Rudeman, David was able to hang with him. That advantage that Mike Skinner has on his new left side tires may equalize after a point. All the crew chiefs in the garage area said these tires seem to last a long time, so it's going to be very interesting to see what David Rudeman can do.
Yeah, 28 laps to go as Mike Skinner and David Rudeman get by Bill Lester. Now it's Skinner with 4 fresh tires in front of the Intian bearings of David Rudeman. We've seen this duo earlier today. Skinner in first, Rudeman in second. We'll see if Rudeman can catch up to Mike Skinner. Tomorrow on Speed Channel, it's the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. Steep elevation makes for steep competition. Racers from 4 continents take on 12.5 miles of concrete and dirt. Wide curves, no guardrails, and a 6,000-foot drop make this racing on the edge. Pikes Peak Hill Climb tomorrow night at 6 p.m. only on Speed Channel. In celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Truck Series, we present the toughest NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series moments made possible by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR. Moment 10. On July 15, 1995, the Truck Series ran at Colorado National Speedway. Fans on hand had no idea what they were in store for. 2 stars of the series locked horns, Butch Miller in the 98 and Mike Skinner in that famous number 3. They traded paint all the way down to the final lap. When the 2 trucks crossed the finish line, they were separated by just 1/1000th of a second. Winning truck driven by Butch Miller. Moment 10, the closest finish in Truck Series history. Mike Skinner out in front of this one. He would definitely hope that he doesn't have another close finish as David Rudeman's been able to stay right behind him, even though he only has 2 fresh tires.
David Rudeman is able to run just a little bit quicker almost every lap, maybe 100th of a second or 2. He's still able to hold that tight line coming off the corner that Darrell was talking about, Hank. He's been so good off turn number 2, and he can hold it down off turn number 4 too, where Mike Skinner is having to use a little bit more of the racetrack.
Yeah, and we've seen David get better in the long run, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the end. But David is definitely on the bottom of the racetrack. Skinner's drifting up a little bit, and seems like they're trading off lap times every other lap.
Got a good view right there coming off turn number 4, how David is able to hold that truck down just a little bit lower than Mike Skinner.
Inside of 20 laps racing left. David Rudeman, those laps winding down quickly. He would need some more time possibly to get by Mike Skinner. Mike Skinner loving the fact that they're going quickly.
He's loving the fact he's got 4 Mr. Feelgoods and Rudeman only has 2.
So he feels about half as good as Mike
Right.
Well, David Rudeman so disappointed in his career best finish at Memphis of 2nd. Thought he should have won that race. Now running in 2nd position to Mike Skinner. Hopefully he'll feel a little bit better about this one and possibly get up front.
Side-by-side battle right there. Brendan Gaughan, the 77, able to pass the 23 of Johnny Benson. He brings the 1 of Ted Musgrave. Now Ted's going to try to get to the inside of the 77 of Brendan Gaughan. This is a battle for the 4th spot.
Side by side, Ted Musgrave on the inside, the 77 of Brendan Gaughan on the outside, getting pretty high out there, so he's going to give up the spot to Ted Musgrave.
Pretty smart move. We've seen so many times how the truck, as we see Johnny Benson in the 30 of Top-Out-Nine battle side by side, we've seen so many times, even today, how the inside truck gets very, very loose and runs into the truck on the outside. I think Brendan Gaughan realized that, said, he's obviously got to run on me. Let me give him a little extra room. We don't want to be taken out of this race now. Maybe I can pass him back.
And Brendan Gaughan, the first 10 races of the season, had 1 top 10 finish. The last 5 races of this season, he has had 4 top 10 finishes. So a big turnaround on the season for Brendan Gaughan.
He's no stranger to the outside. If anybody can run the outside, he can. So he didn't back off. I mean, we're in the closing laps of this race. He didn't back off, but he gave him just enough room.
We've got a terrific battle for 6th spot, the 30 of Top-Out-Nine, the 23 of Johnny Benson. Todd has it for the moment.
Speaking of not backing off, Todd Bodine's not going to back off. He makes the pass on the outside of Johnny Benson. Out in front, it is still Mike Skinner holding off. David Rudeman, just 15 laps of racing remain. When we come back, we'll see if Mike Skinner can hold off David Rudeman, or Rudeman will capture his first win. Welcome back to Nashville Superspeedway. The 8th caution, a record caution for Nashville Superspeedway, has come out. That's Tracy Hines that they're putting on the record. He is able to get out of the truck. He's walking away currently. This is what took place, and there's going to be another truck that got involved in this, so pay close attention.
I think obviously something happened. Tracy Hines either blew an engine, dropped something on the racetrack, because keep watching it. What's going to happen here? You're not going to believe it. Remember, when we went away, Mike Skinner was the leader. David Rudeman was 2nd. What you didn't see right there, watch this now. Here goes our leader, Mike Skinner, down in turn number 3. Watch him just go absolutely straight. He gets his right side tires in the oil. Look at the 17 of David Rudeman, gets sideways. Keep watching Mike Skinner. Makes contact with the outside wall. We can tell when the truck comes by us, he definitely has some damage to the right side. Right on board.
Phil, he just brushed the wall. Can this do enough damage to hurt him?
We looked at it when he came by. Look at the damage on the right side, Hank. You really rely on that bodywork for front downforce too.
I mean, it's so important. These trucks are so aerodynamic deficient. They have to have it. And when you hit the wall like that and you push your fender in, you're not going to have as much front downforce. And now that he runs, even though he's in front, he's probably going to be tight. You see the white marks on his right front tire, on his right rear tire. He may have the rear end pushed over. I know Ray's got more on this.
Well, Hank, he's been talking on the radio saying he does feel like it was pushed over. Now, Bill Lester came out on the outside so that he could take a look at it, and Bill says the damage doesn't look too bad. Now, each and every week at the racetrack, the crews have a nice little wish list for things that you might want for the next couple of weeks, right? Well, they need an extra blue fan for a test that's coming up for sure. They need some 9/16 course half nuts. They need some 040 safety wire. And at the bottom of the list, of course, Mike Skinner needs a win. It's been 3,223 days since Mike Skinner last went to victory lane back in 1996 at Bakersfield, California. Believe me, they're reminding him that on the radio, but his crew chief, Jeff Hensley, said, we looked at it on TV, we think you're going to be okay, and there's only a few laps to go, so it's all in your hands.
I'm telling you, I think that he's got enough damage there, and he's going to have a hard time holding off David Rudeman. I really hate it. There's Bill Davis, truck owner right there. Now, again, our third place truck, Bill Lester, is also owned by Bill Davis, but he's got a lot of damage, Hank, and I'm not sure that he's going to be able to hold them off.
It's going to be, you know, David's had a great truck, and he's been up front all day, and he's been able to stay with Mike. So I don't know. We're going to have to see. He's definitely going to have a problem.
When we come back, we'll be inside of 10 laps remaining in this race. It'll be a single file restart. Mike Skinner, can he hold off David Rudeman? We'll find out next. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel is presented by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's forward. Toyota, moving forward. Brought to you in part by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR. Wendy, what have you found out?
Well, if you've noticed, Ted Musgrave moved up to the 4th spot towards the end of this race. About halfway in the run, you remember how much he was struggling, and he said it was a bad set of tires on the one. Gene Need actually had Goodyear come over and look at the tires, and Ted Musgrave was about to wreck about halfway in the race. So they think they had a bad set of tires when they changed tires. They gained 2 seconds on the track. They were slow by 2 seconds compared to the rest of the field with that bad set of tires. Well, Jack Sprague, who was running in the top 5 on that caution, came in, took tires, and we noticed he fell way back. Well, he just came in and he said he thinks he had a bad set of tires. So maybe a tire issue which caused Ted Musgrave mid-race to fall back. And now, unfortunately, Jack Sprague, it's his last run when he got a bad set of tires.
We're riding along on the Toyota Tundra of Mike Skinner, the number 5. Now, there is 4 fresh tires on this Toyota Tundra. The only problem is the right side tires have been scuffed on the sidewalls, and that's not normally where you want to scuff tires.
They bounced off the wall. We're going to take a look back and see exactly what happened. You see Tracy Hines has already blown an engine or something like that and had trouble. You see the 5 hits it with the right side tires, and he goes up and makes contact with the outside wall. The 17 of David Rudeman caught it with the rear tire. That got him sideways, but allowed him enough time to regain control and drive by on the outside without hitting the wall.
Unbelievable break. Mike Skinner still searching for that win in the Toyota as he's come back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Look at where today's field of Toyota Tundras are currently running. 1, 2, 3 for Toyota. Also 6 and 7 great runs right now for Skinner, Rudeman, and Lester. We'll see as we're getting close to 5 laps to go in this one.
We're going to see very, very soon how much damage Mike Skinner has and whether he's going to be able to hold on to this lead and get that first victory since 1996.
Green flag flies. It's Mike Skinner just in front of David Rudeman and Bill Lester. 3 Toyotas out in front of the Toyota Tundra 200 field.
He got a great restart. The real key is what's going to happen when he gets down the corner. See if he's going to be able to hold that truck down and turn it. It looks like he had a pretty good corner through 1 and 2.
No smoke, so obviously it's not rubbing.
What a great run by Bill Lester. He's being shown right now in 3rd as Ted Musgrave. The one looks for a way around him. Brendan Gaughan goes way up high, allows the 30th Tabodine to get underneath them and take over the spot.
It looked like Ted Musgrave was going to move Bill Lester out of the way. He got right up behind him.
Control, Ricky Craven.
We got problems in turn 4, Ricky Craven. Caution flag comes out again. This is the 9th caution. Again, a record number of cautions at Nashville Superspeedway. 9th caution coming out is Ricky Craven able to get the 99 truck going. He will have to bring that down pit road. It does not look good.
A lot of damage to the left front and the rear of that truck.
That's another guy that's just had some terrible luck. I mean, there's nothing that, just like this right here, a victim of a circumstance. The guy's got too wide underneath him, and man, you hate to see that when you don't need it to happen, when it always happens.
Got caught on the outside, as you mentioned, of a 3-wide battle, and unfortunately was up on the loose stuff, got in the marbles, and had absolutely no control over the truck. But what a big break for Mike Skinner. It buys him a little more time, allows these trucks to circulate under the caution flag, and every lap that they run under caution flag is every lap that he has to keep David Ruderman behind him.
David's struggling on these starts. His truck has been loose on the get-go laps, and Skinner is, if he can get in front of him, he'll be fine.
Outside.
Situation right there, the 75 of David Ruderman. He got loose. We could see him fight for control, and he had to move up the hill, just as we've seen 3 or 4 times today, to try to regain control. Unfortunately, Ricky Craven was there, and he paid for it.
We heard David Starr's spotter, that's Rick Corelli, letting him know outside. I think David Starr had a pretty good idea he was outside as he was running into Craven.
Never mind.
David Starr had a handful of steering wheel. Trying to regain control, but unfortunately, and what allowed him to regain control was the fact that the 99 of Ricky Craven was there. But tough break for Ricky Craven and that Super Chips team.
In doing the work on the 99, seeing if they can get him back out onto the track. Ricky Craven being shown in the 23rd position right now, still on the lead lap. That Super Chips number 99 Ford. They're going to get him running again, try to get him across the start-finish line extended. He does make it just in front of Mike Skinner, and so he will be able to remain on the lead lap. That was the reason for them getting him out as quickly as they did.
He's going to get the stop sign at the end of pit road. It looks like he ran the stop sign, so NASCAR more than likely will penalize him on the caution flag. You've got to get to that stop sign, stop-go paddle, before the leader gets to a certain mark. It didn't look like he made it. They held the stop sign, but Ricky went on by. He had a head of steam going on, but we're going to restart this race with 3 laps to go. Mike's going to look pretty good on that last restart. He was able to run both ends of the racetrack pretty well and keep David Rudin behind him. So I'm liking Mike Skinner's chances right now, and I wasn't that optimistic for him.
Right. I'm going to jump ship too. I think that he may be able to hold on to it, but just because David is so loose on these starts, and Skinner was able to run that lap really good, and this is a huge advantage.
You guys are going to jump ship.
We're coming to your side.
What do you think about the 17?
Well, I think according to Bobby Kennedy, when I'm listening to him on the radio, the 5 of Mike Skinner has been brake checking David Ruderman on the last couple of restarts. The 17 was glad when that caution came off, because Bobby Kennedy, he jumped off the pit box and he ran to a NASCAR official, and NASCAR did relay the message on the radio to Wayne Otten, but the 17 was none too happy with the 5 truck on the restarts here tonight.
And so here we go. Mike Skinner comes to the green flag. We're back underway. David Ruderman, all he has is 3 laps of racing to go to see if he can claim his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
It looked like a pretty even restart, but once they got back on the throttle, it looked like Mike Skinner opened up about a truck length and a half on David Ruderman. David gets a good run coming off turn number 2. Got a battle. The 77 of Brendan Gaughan trying to go to the outside of top 09 to 30. That's a battle for 5th.
And remember, just about 10 laps ago, Mike Skinner got into the wall.
Here he comes on the inside. Watch for David Ruderman.
We have been talking about the possibility of Mike Skinner having a push as David Ruderman tries to get right up behind him. Ruderman's been running on the inside of the track. We'll see if he can hold the inside line and get by Mike Skinner. Skinner moving up. Ruderman on the inside. They're side by side as they go down the backstretch.
For the lead, inside of 2 laps to go. David Ruderman got that great run off turn number 2, but Mike Skinner fights back.
Here comes Mike Skinner. If he's got a push, this is going to hurt him, and he does get up the track. It's David Ruderman on the inside, a clear leader now as they come down the tri-oval. White flag flies, 1 lap to go for David Ruderman.
Look at Bill Lester going for the 2nd position, went all the way down in the apron.
Bill Lester, who spun out early, has moved his way all the way back into 2nd. That's exactly what the 17 needed.
Here comes Ted Musgrave on the inside, battling for 2nd. David Ruderman out in front. Bill Lester, they're 3 wide. Here comes Mike Skinner trying to take 2nd back. It's David Ruderman, though, out in front of this one as the battle continues for 2nd. The NTN bearings of David Ruderman will see the checkered flag for the first time in his career.
What a terrific race. Look at him racing 3 wide back there for about 4th.
They did some swapping there in that last corner now. Skinner, he slid back up in front of those guys. I believe Musgrave got right back around him.
What a great job by David Ruderman and his entire NTN bearing team. You don't think they're happy, do you?
Well, I'll tell you what. David Ruderman thought that 2 races ago in Memphis, he lost his first ever win by missing a shift on the restart. Now, he's able to work his way by Mike Skinner and claim his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in just his 41st start. Wendy, who have you caught up with?
Jason Overstreet just giving directions to David Rudiman to give a good burnout in front of this Nashville crowd. What an amazing, your first victory with David Rudiman.
Oh, this is unreal. That's what it's all about. I don't know what to say. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, but we're going to victory lane.
All right, we'll follow you there. Congratulations.
Do you think the thousands of Toyota associates over here in turn number 4 are very happy that Toyota won?
Well, Toyota had a great race in Nashville in front of all of these associates. David Rudiman coming home with his first ever win. Ted Musgrave continuing his streak of either second or third place finishes here at this racetrack, comes home in second, and then it's 2 more Toyotas. Todd Bodine and Mike Skinner holds on for a 4th place finish.
You've got to feel brokenhearted for Mike Skinner. I think that with a 3 laps to go like that, if he had not had the damage that he had from that accident, that he would have been able maybe to hold off David Rudiman. But David Rudiman was very, very good. He took advantage of the situation. He was so good coming off turn number 2 the entire race and turn number 4 that he was able to use the fact that Mike Skinner wasn't quite as good because of that damage, and he got his first win.
NTN Bearings number 17 of David Rudiman's going to make his way to victory lane because his owner is holding the trophy. That is the Gibson guitar. David Rudiman will put his name on that next. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. An unbelievable show for the thousands of associates for Toyota that were able to witness David Rudiman's first win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in his Toyota Tundra. Let's go down to victory lane in Wendy Venerini.
David is all too excited to climb out of his truck. He's been waiting for this exact moment a very long time in David Rudiman's career. DW in victory lane to hand him the coveted guitar. You see David Rudiman kissing it with passion. David Rudiman, hey, do you know how to play the guitar, first of all?
I have no idea. But maybe I'll learn.
Yeah, what an amazing day for you. Did you ever think this moment was ever going to come as DW comes in and gives you a hug? You have to be thrilled.
Oh man, it's amazing. Praise the Lord, I tell you. Thanks, my wife.
His wife Lisa coming in and giving him a kiss and hug. Congratulations.
It's great. Darrell Waltrip gave me a great team here. Jason Overstreet, great pit stops. Toyota Racing Development, great motors. Phenomenal today. I know Skinner had a problem there at the end. He had a good piece, but praise the Lord, we're here and I can enjoy it.
What did you think when you had that flat tire? How scared were you?
I thought we were done. I just knew we were done, and the guys kept pumping me. I was like, Jason's like, we're gonna be all right, and we were all right. So man, that's again thanks Toyota Racing Development, Toyota, NTN Bearings, Rick Thomas, and all you guys that put faith in me to win races for them. We did it for you today, and I wish you guys had been here to see it.
What a great call for Jason Overstreet to bring you down pit road at that exact moment. But an even better call might have been Ray Dunlap sending DW out of the booth and down here to victory lane. You were here for that exact moment.
Well, I've been waiting for this. He's got a Rolex coming. He wins a guitar. I mean, I think you can't stop him now. He just needed his first win. His confidence is so high right now. He wins the race. Just thanks to Bobby Kennedy and Jason and all the Darrell Waltrip Motorsport teams, the 17 and the 12, and what a great job. I mean, David is just awesome.
He sure is, and we're glad that you're here in Nashville with us today. A great moment in victory lane as David Rudiman and the 17 team celebrate. And man, they have a guitar to play tonight.
David Rudiman grabbing the coveted trophy here in Nashville, that Les Paul Gibson guitar, for winning the Toyota Tundra 200. Today's Mobil 1 move of the race is brought to you by the new Mobil 1 Extended Performance, official motor oil of NASCAR. Here it is, David Rudiman making the pass on Mike Skinner. Skinner having troubles keeping the truck on the inside of the track, but no problems for the 17 of David Rudiman as he's able to drive right on by and hold on for his first ever career win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. There's the celebration, the guitar. Maybe he'll learn how to play guitar after bringing home one of the nicest trophies in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Very big day for Toyota as they were able to claim the top spot as well as third and fourth when they had over 6,000 associates here watching from Nashville Superspeedway.
Great job by David Rudem to get career victory number 1. Ted Musgrave fought all day long. Finally got to second right there on the last lap, last couple laps. Ty Bodine, a good run. Mike Skinner, your heart goes out to Mike Skinner. He looks like he's been so close to win so many of these races, and unfortunately, he got through no fault of his own. He got into the wall after he getting into some oil, and I don't know where John Andretti came from. We saw him have trouble early on in the race, and all of a sudden he's in the 11th position.
Our points leader, Dennis Setzer, finishing at 14th, and that's going to hurt him as far as Ted Musgrave coming home second, so I'm sure that gap has been closed.
Jack Sprague, he had a great truck, ran in the top 5 for very much of the race, and we heard Wendy report that he thought he had maybe a bad set of tires at the very end when it really counted, and unfortunately a 21st place finish.
We saw Brandon Gaughan and Bill Lester up there have great runs. Those guys both came back from, looked like it could have been race-ending, disasters, and they were able to bounce back.
Celebration continuing for the number 17 NTN Bearings team. Dennis Setzer, as I had mentioned, he's actually now at 2,400 points even. Ted Musgrave just 178 points back now, as he was 227 to start this race.
Yeah, Ted gained almost 50 points. You see Bobby Hamilton in third. David Rudem moves up another spot. His torrid pace continues with this win. He moves up into the 5th spot in the points.
Mike Skinner earned himself 10 bonus points for not only leading a lap, but leading the most laps in this race, but was not able to come home in the top spot today. He's standing by with Ray.
Well, thank you, Rick. And I thought Mike Skinner would be pretty upset, but after I got a look at your race truck, you're just pretty lucky to have finished that race, right?
Yeah, we really are. And our Tundra was awfully good today. Doggone, I don't know what we got to do, but we hit oil over there going into 3. I guess somebody lost an engine or something. It was crashed up there, and that thing just jumped sideways and slid up and pancaked the side of it, and it bent the front end and the back end. The rear end's moved over, and wheels are all bent up, and the nose is all tore up. And after I looked at the truck, I was like, man, I'm just glad we finished it all, especially in the top 5. So it was really a good day. I think it was one of those days the best truck didn't win, the second best truck won, but man, I'm so happy for Rudem, and I'm happy for Toyota. They sponsored this race, and they won the race. I think we got 3 or 4 of us in the top 5 there, so it's good.
And I think it's another one of those days where you say they knew we were here, and you guys are inching ever closer to getting that victory.
Ray, I don't know. I told Jim Moss this morning when we sat on the pole, I said, maybe we should just start in the back. This sitting on the pole, for something will happen, and positive thinking we had all day, but it sure enough did. But you know what? We got a great race team. The guys did an awesome job on pit road. Toyota, what can I say? Man, those motors, wow. Motor was awesome.
Congratulations on a great day. Let's look over here to Ted Musgrave. A good day in the points for you, and I think a little bit of patience paid off for you there on those last couple of laps.
Well, yeah, patience-wise, we really weren't sure what to adjust on a truck because we were tight to start, put another set of tires on, and I was extremely loose and it was 2 seconds off the pace, and found out I had a hole in the right rear tire and only had 11 pounds in it, so we had to back up on our adjustments. So we weren't really right, but second place, and yeah, patience. I could see what was going on when Skinner got on the inside of me, and I had the 22 on the outside, me going in the corner, and I'm 3 wide in the middle. I knew Skinner wasn't going to lift and he wasn't going to turn, so kind of thought he was going to be a cue ball, and sure enough, he knocked the 22 up and off. I went to second place. That's 5 times in a row here. I've been never out of top 3, so Mopar team's pretty good here at Nashville.
No doubt about it. Now, we've almost given the trophy to Dennis Setzer, but today you gained almost 50 points on him, so I guess if you click away a little bit each week, you can get back in this thing.
Never give up. Not until they start handing out the awards at the banquet. That's the only time we'll say, okay, I guess we got beat. But, Dennis has had an awful good year, and I've had a terrible, as I say, maybe a month or so. But we're rebounding. We're coming back. And it's just days like today. You got to keep chipping away at it, keep your head up, and, like I say, just never give up.
Never been out of the top 3. That's Ted Musgrave, who gets a second place today here at Nashville. Now let's check in with Wendy. I believe she's caught up with the Onion.
I sure have the Onion. In Kentucky, he came home second, and he was a little bit disappointed to talk to me at the end of the race. Today, he comes home third, and you're thrilled. What a great day, because yesterday you were having some carburetor issues in practice.
Yeah, we actually had them this morning in qualifying also, and we qualified 15th, and we knew we had such a good truck that we elected to change the carburetor, change the fuel lines, all the electrical system, and start in the back. And so we basically started last and finished third, so it was a great day for our Tundra. We got a little too loose on that last run. We kind of over-adjusted a little bit, but we'll take a third. It was a great day for us. And, Cytomax Sports Drink came on there for me as a personal sponsor. It's a great product. And Windbreaker, Valvoline Bosch, All my brothers are on the hood. I gotta say happy anniversary to my Uncle Duke and Aunt Vera. They're all at a party in Elmira. There's like 150 of them, and I'm not there. I'm here racing. I want to say hi to Ashlyn. She's there. And a special hi to Alex and Kathy in Canada. We miss you guys.
Well, I think he got it all in. And folks, there was a huge lightning storm earlier, but if you notice, our drivers now have sunglasses on. The sun actually came out later on today, right?
Wendy, I'll tell you, I was a little bit surprised we got this thing in today, but tell me about your day, Todd Cleaver. You come home with a 5th place finish, and you guys have really been on a roll. Were you satisfied with how your truck ran today here at Nashville?
Well, we actually ran a little better in that beginning part of the race. We were a little too free from yesterday, and it took us about 2 stops to get it adjusted out of it. We were really good there at the end. For some reason, once again, didn't need that last caution. We weren't very good on restarts, but after about 2 laps, the Chevrolet T Ford F-150 really came alive, and it was a lot of fun to drive, you know, but we keep running the top 5. We'll get ours soon enough. I'm not worried about it. And got to thank Jack Roush and Jeff Smith for giving me the opportunity to be here, having a ball, living my dream, and thank Mike Beeman, Hal, and Steve McCain, my truck chief, and for letting me do it.
Okay, have fun at Darlington. These guys will be heading off as the race for the ride will continue. The Roush Racing Gong Show will go back to work here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at Darlington to find the next big star in Truck Series racing.
Todd Cleaver fits that bill right now. He won the race for the ride a year ago and now has really shown Jack Roush what he's made of, as he's had some great finishes as of late in the Truck Series. Toyota Tundra 200 claimed by, well, a Toyota. And it was the first ever win for David Rudiman as he continues the hat dance in victory lane, holding the prized guitar in Nashville Superspeedway. Very lucky to even get this one in, as weather was going to be an issue. They moved the start of the race up so that right when we came on the air, they were getting ready to start the engines, and we got this one underway and got all 150 laps in without a drop of rain coming down.
It's the vortex theory that Darrell was talking about.
Well, I think Wendy has caught up with Bill Lester, who had another great finish.
Bill Lester came home 7th, and folks, he started on the outside pole, spun out early, and came all the way back up to 7th. What a crazy day for you. And who's this here with you?
This is Alex. This is actually William Alexander Lester IV. So he's Alex by nickname, and he's my good luck charm today. It's my big boy. He's all into cars and trucks.
Well, maybe he's a future driver. Tell us about that spin early on and how you came back up through the field.
Yeah, I mean, we just wound up getting the air taken off the back of the truck there. I mean, everything was fine. I think it was the 10 truck maybe that was out on the right rear corner of mine. And next thing you know, I'm going around and was fortunate enough to keep it off the fence and flat spot the tires. So, I mean, we had to go basically to the end there with really, really worn tires. The guys in front of me, the 17 and the 5, had stickers, and I guess some of the guys behind me did. But, you know, it's a testament to this 22 Bill Davis Racing team that they gave me a truck that held consistently for so many laps. So I'm happy for Office Depot and Toyota.
Now talk about the last lap with us.
You know, that was a crazy deal. The 5 had a problem. He had fender damage on the right side. We looked at it for him. We told him it was okay, probably good to go to the end. Obviously it wasn't. We got him basically with 1 lap to go there at start-finish. And we thought we were clean all the way through the backstretch. Next thing you know, I mean, he came right up into me. I mean, not basically hit me. I had to give him room, or we would have both probably sailed into the fence. But I think we would have had a 2nd place finish there. So I'm kind of disappointed about the way that all ended up. I'm sure Mike is trying to go for it as hard as I am. But, you know, that would have been a nice Bill Davis Racing, maybe 2-3. And as it turned out, it was maybe a 6, 7, and 8. So wasn't the way I wanted it to be, but we'll have more opportunities.
Great. Still a top 10 and a great day for Bill Davis Racing. Go spend some time with your family. Rick?
Another great top 10 finish for Bill Lester. Dennis Setzer with a tough finish today, 14th, and Ted Musgrave with a 2nd place finish. That gap now closed. The guy moving up, though, continuing to move up, is David Rudiman. He moved from 6th position up to 5th position with today's win.
He continues. He started well out of the top 10 here a few races ago and all the way up into the 5th position. But a win, that's the key for David Rudiman. He got that first victory, and as Darrell said, that may open the floodgates.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, you did everything you can do today to get points by winning the race. So, you know, if he wins more races, he's just going to keep gaining those points.
Toyota claiming the 3rd win of 2005. Our next race is Bristol Motor Speedway on August 24th. That's an evening race under the lights at Bristol for the O'Reilly 200. Jack Sprague had a tough truck to beat this week, but it was the Toyota Tundras that were the story. David Rudiman becoming the 5th first-time winner in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. For Wendy Venturini, Ray Dunlap, Hank Parker Jr., and Phil Parsons, I'm Rick Allen saying so long.